Hey everybody, Jeremy here, continuing my review on the 3 DC Designer Series figures that I got a little while ago. I first reviewed Two-Face, and if you want to see that review, I'm going to leave a link right here so that you can check that out. And today we're going to focus our attention on Mr. Freeze right here. Now these are all part of the DC Designer Series of artwork that was created by Greg Capullo. And this Mr. Freeze figure is pretty darn awesome. And I'm going to start by just talking about his skin tone. As we know, Mr. Freeze, he's a cold guy. He needs to be in the cold, insulated in Arctic type weather. And his skin, the color on his skin is really, really good. It has this shade of blue and white mixed, combined. It's like a marbling effect. And it's on his head and it's on every exposed part of his body. And I think that is really, really nice. It really helps to drive home the whole Mr. Freeze, he's a cold guy kind of an aspect. You gotta have the icy cold blues with this guy. And it works out so well. Especially the contrast when you look into his eyes and you see those red goggles that he has. It is such a great contrast between those three colors. And I think that's one of the best aspects of this figure. As far as his sculpt goes, really gotta give props because his suit, not only does he have some cool tanks, like he has these tanks on the back, and then he has these tubes running from the tank into the front of his suit, but he also has like these little armor type pieces right here on his arms. Adds some really nice detail to that. In addition, his suit is also textured. And what I mean by that is, it's not just smooth plastic. You can feel the little rivets. You can feel the roughness of this suit. So it's not just, hey, we just painted a gray suit on this Mr. Freeze figure. No, it's like a whole different type of mold put on top of that in order to bring out more detail and more texture. It's really good. I like that about his suit. Love that about his suit. Now, if you looked at my Two-Face review, you see that one thing that I said it did not have was articulation, at least not very good articulation. So that might be a deal breaker for those who want some Marvel Legends type of articulation in their figures. I thought the same thing was going to be said about this Mr. Freeze figure. And let me tell you, it is not that way at all. Surprisingly, let me show you some of the articulation. For one, this is his right leg. Look how high I can get his right leg. This guy can totally do the splits. And I was shocked when I saw that. Really huge range of motion on his thigh joints there. And as for his knee, check that out. It's like a double jointed knee. Mr. Freeze has a double jointed knee. That's crazy. And he also can swivel slightly at his thigh, not too much, but look at that range. And he does have peg holes on his feet. So if you have a display base, you can peg him into somewhere. You can get like a really crazy, unrealistic, unlike Mr. Freeze pose if you wanted to. But that range of motion that he has in his legs, I was not expecting that at all. Now, of course, it's going to be the same motion on his left leg as it is on his right. For his feet, you can move them from side to side, so you do have some foot articulation. And as for his arms, you don't get double jointed elbows. You get like a little single jointed elbow, but that's still pretty cool. And you can move his arms out like that, and you can also swivel them. This piece of armor is going to end up hitting his armor in the front, so you won't be able to get that full rotation because of that, but it does have very good rotations nonetheless. And I think the joints are also pretty well hidden. They don't stand out that much. I mean, of course, you can still see them, but they did a good job of kind of keeping it subtle and under wraps while still giving you a lot of articulation. At least more articulation than I was expecting to get from a DC Designer Series figure. His head also rotates as well, and he also comes with this little accessory for his head container type thing. I'm not too sure what's the proper name for this, so let's call it his helmet. And he does have head rotation. You can move his head down a little bit. You can move his head up a little bit, and of course you can move his head from side to side. Pretty standard stuff. and we'll just pop this right back on. It goes very easily and fits over his head very nicely. It's a pretty decent fit if you can get it on straight, which I didn't do just now. So let's just put that on. There we go. So it stays on very well. As you can see, I can lift him up like that, and without, you know, really trying to undo this helmet, you can see that he's staying on pretty well. The other accessory that he gets is this freeze gun, which to me has some really nice detail on it. It continues the whole silver and blue aspect of this entire figure. So it matches his outfit, which is great. It's great to have an accessory that goes right along with the figure and not something that's completely random that looks like, hey, we just grabbed this out of the accessories bin. So this goes along with him very well. I am also pleased to say that the freeze gun fits into his hands very well. I didn't have to heat this guy up and loosen up his hands in order to fit this in. It just naturally goes in there, and that's the way that it should be for all action figures. Man, you really shouldn't have to do some science in order to get them to hold the accessories that they come with. As you can see, even though I've been moving him around quite a bit, he is still standing on his own pretty well. Of course, you're going to have to pose him up in the way that you want him to, but he does stand up on his own quite well, even when you mess around with him a little bit. So I'm very happy about that too. And that's pretty much it with this figure, guys. Surprisingly, you know, I thought that Two-Face was going to be my favorite character out of the three that I purchased, but I gotta give it to Mr. Freeze right now, because this Mr. Freeze impresses me with the articulation that he has. Even though I'm not quite huge on articulation, I like it, but it's never been a deal breaker for me. But the fact that I like the sculpt on this guy, he just fell over. I like the sculpt on this guy. I really like the paint on him. I think that the accessory that he comes with fits him very well. It fits him quite well. I just can't seem to get him to stand up on his own anymore. Let me just try to move his feet a little bit here. There we go. Like I was saying, the paint on him is done very well. The sculpt is very well done. I like the texture of his suit, and the fact that Two-Face has all those things going for him as well. But in addition to that, you get a lot of articulation with this guy. I have to give it to him now. So this Mr. Freeze is a great figure. If you want to pick this up, then you need to head over to Amazon and see if you can get it there. I got him for around $11 or something like that, I believe. I'm also going to leave a link to Amazon in the description that you can click on. So you can find him there. And hopefully you can get him for the same or cheaper than what I got him for. And that's pretty much it for this figure. If you want to see more reviews like this, including the next review in this line, that's going to be the Red Hood. Oh, Mr. Freeze. I just got finished telling people how you stand up well on your own, and now you're falling all over the place. You're embarrassing me. But anyway, if you want to see more reviews just like this, and like the Red Hood that I'm going to bring up next, please subscribe to the channel, because I'm going to be cranking out reviews just like this all of the time. So I'm going to continue to work on Mr. Freeze here. I've completely messed up his articulation, so he doesn't want to stand very well on his own, but I'm going to fix that. And while I do, I'm going to tell you thank you so much for watching. Stay. And until next time, I'm Jeremy, and I'll talk to you later.